in his life since then that has really resonated with me. I'm thinking, okay, well that was, The Biggest Loser has been the catalyst to the next stage of his life, finding his greatest version of his grandest vision of who he wants to be. But what was the catalyst to getting on the Biggest Loser? And that's the really interesting thing to me. When we discussed it, it was attending something like this. Okay, bigger, grander event. It was a Tony Robbins event, I believe, but it was still kind of spending a weekend, spending some time getting to his own truth, looking for the important things. Okay, so basically, kind of we'll get Kevin up here, right? Kind of give him a round of applause. Just get you set up.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm finding it really hard not to go to Sainsbury's and buy cheesecake from them. They're on commission or something.
Keep subliminal cheesecake.
Couldn't help but feel at the end of the day it's going to be a pitch for like a giant big cheesecake.
It is, it's my new company.
You can have this cheesecake for 10 grand. Was anybody here fed? Yeah? Remember when Dax came on and he had a slide which said, Brian Grasso stole my shit? Did anybody see that?
Yeah.
Because the day before Brian Grasso had spoken, and loads of what Brian Grasso spoke about was what Dax wanted to speak about the next day. I need a slide saying Dax Moy stole my shit. Because much of what I was going to talk about is pretty much what Dax has talked about just now. We'll go back to the beginning. My Biggest Loser journey, as Dax said, started at a seminar. It was bigger than this, to be fair. There were 6,500 people here, there. It was at Excel in East London. Now, going back actually where I came from, when I was 450 pounds, which is 32 stone 2 pounds, and for any Europeans I think it's about 70, no, it's not 75 kilos, that's what I lost. About 202 kilos, 450 pounds. So you can imagine, you know, that's 8 bags of sand or 4 really big weights. That's where I weighed in when I first started. When I finished Biggest Loser, I weighed 90 stone 2, which is a lot less than 450 pounds. And I think I lost 75 kilos altogether, 180 pounds. I did that in 24 weeks, from the middle of September to March this year. And what I wanted to talk about is pretty much what Dax was touching on there, about sort of committing to the day and about how I changed my life by being in a seminar. It was it was a seminar much like what Dax was talking about. There was a lot of standing up and sharing with the person next to you, and you know, a lot of the happy clappy stuff, and the, you know, basically a lot of filling. You know, I'm sure Dax could probably make the day last 4 days if he got up every 10 minutes to clap and rub each other's shoulders and, you know, do crazy stuff like that. Which is, it's great. It's all got its place, and I've actually enjoyed the Tony Robbins seminar since then, and you know, it was great. I was a bit exhausted by day 4, and I actually had grazed hand off clap, so that's a truth. If anybody knows Charlotte, I would ask her, because she was with us and I had a grazed hand. You can ask her, I know you've seen that tomorrow. And these things have all got the place, and I really particularly enjoyed that seminar. That was me. That's actually the photo I used when I applied for Biggest Loser. So that's exactly how I was then. How I got to where I was there, from being a normal size, I was actually, you know, at one point in my life I was actually smaller than I was when I was a baby at one point in my life, but at one point in my life I was probably about 8.5 pounds. How I got there, it's going to sound a bit daft if anyone's heard this talk before. I talk about taking the eye off the ball, which you think, you can do that on holiday. You know, you can go to Ibiza for a week or go away for a long weekend in New York and take your eye off the ball and eat loads of cheesecake and eat, you know, bad things and come back feeling a bit rough, having put on about 6 or 7 pounds. But how do you go from being a normal sized bloke to being 32 stone 2 pounds? That's literally what it was. My priorities were completely wrong. My priorities were, I had a business, and I thought, by programming from probably, you know, my peers and whatever else over the years, that the most important thing in my life was to have a successful business. I had a business that was successful as well. I could probably stand here and talk in a business seminar and talk about, you know, how to motivate your staff and staff incentives and how important your bottom line is and how important it is to have a big business. It was all about that as well. It was about having a big business. I wasn't making that much money, but I had a business with 6 staff. I had a brand new Nissan Navara. My business had 3 brand new transit vans. I had an office, I had a fax machine, and you know, I had all the things that a business and what looked like a successful person would have. The business I actually had was a franchise business. When I took it over, I had previously been turning off £50,000 a year. In year one, I took it to £120,000. In year two, I took it to £220,000. In year three, I took it to just less than £300,000 turnover. Still not much profit, I have to say, but because it was all about vanity. But as my business was going like that, turnover was going through the roof. So was my weight going up as well. Because I was totally took my eye off the ball. I wasn't looking after myself. More importantly, I wasn't looking after Joanne is my family. Got picked by the dog as well now, but Joanne is my family. So I have many kids. And my parents as well. And I've got brothers and that, but you know, they don't really count, they can look after themselves. And I really neglected that because I was thinking in my head, I've got to have a successful business. That's the measure of a man. Measure of a man is how much money he makes, how many vans his business has got, what sort of car he drives, and all that. That was the bullshit I was telling myself. But what happened was, as my business was going up, my weight was going up, everything else was going down in my life without me realising it. I suppose I did realise that I was conscious that my relationship with Joanne was going in the wrong direction. I was conscious of that, but I just thought, well, what I'll do is I'll get the business to here. Once I've got it to here and I can take a bit more time off, I don't have to work 15 hours a day, then I can spend more time with Joanne. Then I can get to the gym. Then I can commit to taking care of that part of my life. Typical man, basically, I couldn't multitask. And I know people joke about that, but I do actually genuinely believe that's true. I think sometimes you can get so focused on one thing in your life that nothing else matters, and you end up knacking the rest. But that's a northeast phrase. You end up destroying the rest of your life. So like I say, business was going up, weight was going up. The rest of my life was pretty much a shambles. And it got to the point that when my weight got so high, it's as high as that, that weight came on in probably about 2 or 3 years, which is a lot of weight to put on in that short period of time. That was a reflection of how I really felt on the inside, really. On the outside I was saying, no, this is what I've got to have. But really how I actually really felt was, is this really what I want to do? Is this really where I'm at? You know, I thought when I've got this, when I've got a brand new Nissan Navara, you know, it was the best one you could get, it had the leather seats and the aircon, and oh, it had the sat nav, and awesome. This was my dream car. Can anybody remember the program, The Fall Guy? It's on the cable. Can you remember it? I used to watch that and think, I want one of them. In the Nissan Navara, I was as near as I could get to the truck that he drove on The Fall Guy. And that's it, I'd arrived, excellent. I think that's not what I really want. And I didn't know what I really wanted until quite recently, actually. But so as my business was going up, I keep getting to this point, as my business was going up, my weight was going up, at one point, they met, and that's when things went a bit pear-shaped. I was basically a mess. I got so heavy, my brain wasn't working properly, my body wasn't working properly, I could hardly get through a day without needing to sleep in the afternoon. My eating habits were horrendous. The way I felt about my appearance was horrendous. It got to a point where I was embarrassed to go and see customers because of my size, and the business I had involved a bit of physical work, which in the beginning I was able to do. When I got to the size I was there, I wasn't actually able to do the physical work. And I had people working for us and that was fine, but it's alright, I've got 6 staff, they can do it all. Well, I sit here in a mess in my office. My office was a reflection of how I felt inside. It was just upside down, my filing system was the floor, it was horrendous. So there came a point, it was just over 2 years ago in June 2010, that I got out of the business. Because my mind wasn't working properly and I wasn't physically on it, from when it got to that point, the business started going like that. My weight sort of stabilised, the business started going down. Literally. I got out of the business, sold everything off, laid all the lads off, and there I was left with, obviously I was left with nothing because I had other business interests like personal property, and that's a different story, but I wasn't like left flat broke. But I had nothing really going on in my life particularly. It took a while to sort out the tidying the business up, and by now we're at sort of Christmas 2011, 6 months after I got out of the business. And what happened was, on New Year's 2010 and 2011, so 18 months ago, like everybody, I made a New Year's resolution. You might make a New Year's resolution to give up smoking, lose weight, increase your turnover by £100,000 or something, whatever you want to do, buying a Santa Fora. I think that was probably the only New Year's resolution I had that came true. My New Year's resolution was, if by September, which would be last September, this year I haven't made a massive difference in my weight, and my weight doesn't go in the right direction, I'll let Joanne go. You know the phrase, if you love someone, set them free. You know, I love Joanne, like Dax was talking about his wife. Joanne was my backbone, she was the you know. And I was such a mess, I thought I can't drag it down anymore. I've not told Joanne this, she doesn't actually know, so don't put it on Facebook. That's how I felt. I thought, if this is going to be me drive, this is how I want to do it. Then I thought, this is what I've got to do. I don't want to let her go, she's massively important in my life. But I'm going to have to, because she deserves better. I believe, and again, I've told Joanne this, and I could be totally wrong, and she'd probably be a bit outraged about if she thought I thought this. Joanne's dad died in 2004, very tragic circumstance. It was a horrendous year or two in our lives. And at that point, it was really hard. All relationships go through a really hard time. And I stuck with her and stuck together, and there was massive changes happening in my life. We moved house, because Joanne felt like if we moved house, it was going to be better living somewhere else than where we lived, because it was horrendous. I think that Joanne stuck by me through my dark days because I'd stuck by her through that time. Like she felt like she owed us something, which is absolutely bollocks. She didn't at all. So anyway, there we are, beginning of last year, and I'm thinking, right, what am I going to do? And as you do, you're looking on the internet, looking for solutions. Any overweight person, anybody who's ever struggled with any aspect of their life, looks for that solution on the internet. It's great on the internet, I love it. You look for that magic solution of what you're going to do. And I found an advert on the internet saying Tony Robbins is coming to London to an event called the National Achievers Congress. I certainly wasn't an achiever. I was a failure in my head, and in actuality I really was. And I'd been a big fan of Tony Robbins' work. I'd seen videos on YouTube, I'd bought his program, done the first 2 days, didn't do the rest, you know, like loads of people. But I thought Tony Robbins is he might have my solution for how I want to lose weight. The ticket's only 199 quid, and if anyone's ever been to see Tony Robbins, I think the cheapest tickets he charged were like 6,500 quid. I saw him at the Excel again this year, which was great. I was invited there as Tony Robbins' guest, which was like one of the epiphany, greatest moments of my life. But there was people who were sat at the back behind 6,500 people who paid 700 quid to see him. And I thought, well, I'm going to go, it's only 200 quid. And I knew he'd only do like a short speech. He was going to do 4 hours. This was a business event, a bit like what I was talking about before, about how, come here and I'll tell you how to make $1 million on the internet. Come here and I'll tell you how, I'm going to tell you how I made £20 million in 3 seconds with some properties in Manchester, and all this sort of stuff. But I thought, well, Tony Robbins is going to have something that I'm going to be able to take from what he says, because it'll probably be business related, but I'll be able to put it in my own life. So I bought the tickets, and in the meantime I still looked for different ways to lose weight. My weight came off a little bit. I think probably I was heavier than that at one point. I was probably closer to 33 stone at one point, and I managed to lose a little bit. Let's be honest, if I was 33 stone, I was 32 stone 200, I'm the biggest loser. 12 pound of someone that big, I could probably go to the toilet and lose that when I was that sort of weight. So anyway, I went to the Tony Robbins event. That's what it was for me. He was going to be doing a little short period, but I went to this Tony Robbins event at the Excel, and I sat quite close to the front. And I thought Tony Robbins would come on quite late in the day, or it was 3 days. I thought he'd come at the end of the last day because he was the headline event. Alan Sugar was on and Richard Branson was on, but I think most people were there to see Tony Robbins. As it happens, he came on the Saturday morning, so there'd been one speaker on, and did about an hour, and then Tony Robbins came on. And it was all this sort of like, come on your feet, clap your hands, turn to the person next to you and tell them they're awesome, and I own you, and hug the person next to you. Like Dax says, people do it. And I saw it particularly when I went to, has anyone been to a Tony Robbins event? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. There's a lot of this goes on, and a lot of people are talking absolute shit. They're behaving like complete and utter tools because that's what they think Tony wants them to do. When I saw them at the Excel, a few times I was sat there thinking, nah, this isn't right, this doesn't work for me. And I could see people around us doing things that they thought, this is what I must be able to do. Yay! And all that does work for me, you know. There's a thing I did a seminar last week, this thing I taught about which Tony Robbins teaches, which is bust a move, is what I call it, where you have a move where you energise yourself, and that's what all that's about. Get up and it gives anybody a bit of energy, because these things go on for hours. 9 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock the next morning, one day, he was on stage for most of that time. So anyway, a lot of that does work, and it's great, but a lot of people, like Dax was talking about, aren't being authentic, they're not really being themselves, they're pretending. But I got into it and I really enjoyed it, and it was quite liberating in a way, you know, having people who I would never normally, you know, probably, for example, get on the tube with the same person and be like that, and, you know, not make eye contact. There I was practically, you know, making love to them. So anyway, Tony did this thing which Dax has talked about today, about turn the person next to you. Turn the person next to you and tell them what you're going to do in the next 90 days to change your life. That's what he said. Turn the person to your left, more specifically. Now, in a room with, I think that one had 8,500 people there. I could have anybody sat to my left. I was sat in the end seat because I used to spill into 2 seats, 3 seats possibly. So I sat in the end and Joanne had spilled all over her, and that was fine. And I turned to Joanne and I said, in the next 90 days, I'm going to lose 90 pounds. Now that's a real big amount of weight to lose, £1 a day. And it wasn't, I mean, it was instant. It came out more or less straight away, 90-90, it sounds about right. You know, I didn't have to do any stuff, so I could probably lose about £0.7 a day. It was like, in the next 90 days I'm losing 90 pounds. And when Joanne said it was, and she was nearly crying, she had tears in her eyes, and she went, I know you're going to do it. And this was quite an intimate moment in a room of 8,500 people. Everybody else was probably like, the next 90 days I'm going to make £90 million. The next 90 days I'm going to buy 90 houses. The next 90 days I'm going to buy this and the bar. Fool. Thirsty. So turn to Joanne and I said, the next 90 days I'm going to lose £90. And that moment was the thing that changed my life. Her belief in me, you know, she held my hand and she said, I know you can do it. I know you've got it in you. You know, you are going to do it. You know, I know that is what's going to, that you're going to have success doing that. In 3 days, 10 hours a day, maybe a bit more, that was the one thing that I took from that day, from that weekend. The rest was great, you know, some stuff I thought, yeah, that's good, I could maybe apply that in some parts of my life. There was a lot of like business stuff. There was a lot, everybody else was like, well, Tony Robbins, his whole thing is a massive pitch. These weekends are just one long pitch, but everyone was pitching. It was like, I'm going to tell you how I made millions through property, for example. And they'll talk about making millions through property, not quite telling you how they do it. And at the end they go, if you want to learn the real stuff, come and, you know, pay us £1,000 and I'll tell you the real stuff. And invariably you pay £1,000 and you go, and then when you pay the £1,000, I'll tell you, if you pay us £3,000, I'll tell you really how to do it. So there's a lot of that went on, and, you know, that's fine. These people were probably paying to be there, and they were the ones who were paying Tony Robbins' wages, basically. So anyway, that's the one thing that I took from this weekend. So I went home, and I got back on the internet, started looking for my solution. How am I going to do it? I've been to Weight Watchers, I've been to Slim World, I've been Like a Life, I've done Cambridge, all of which I had failed at. They hadn't failed me. These systems all worked for some people. I would say probably a lot less people that works for than it doesn't work for. That's how these businesses exist half the time. How many people have heard someone say to them, I want to go back to Weight Watchers, it worked for us before? No, it didn't, because you haven't kept your weight off. I'm going to go back to Lighter Life, that's what worked for us before. Didn't, because you put your weight on. I actually went, I did, tell you a couple of funny stories, well, not very funny actually for me. Lighter Life, I lost 6 stone in 3 months and I put 12 stone on in 12 months. Straight after, I literally. Cambridge, I went to the woman's house. He's a love this, I'll tell you this story. Cambridge died, I went to the woman's house. She was probably about 4 stone overweight herself. Oh, I've got to get back on it. We ended up having an hour together where I sat and mentored her in her weight loss. Then I am stood at 30 odd stone, mentored her in her weight loss, and oh yeah, you should do this, and you know, and motivating her giving me 70 quid, she'd give us a box full of cardboard bars and horrible shapes. Got weighed, the scales came up, so I looked at the man, I said, oh, I don't think I'm registered on these. Came up, error. And she said, oh, do you know how much you weigh? I said, no. She said, got any scales at home? I went, aye. So why do you get weighed on them? I said, oh, okay. This is going well. And I went, well, that comes with error as well. What's the maximum on them? I said, about 25 stone. Well, that's about the same on these. Tell you what to do. This is the truth. I swear that's the truth. Next time you come, bring your scales. Put one foot on one scale, one foot on the other scale, and we'll add them together. I was like, bye. I'll never see you again. I never went back. That's a God's honest. So, anyway, I was looking on the internet for my solution, what I was going to do, what was going to be my magic sort of thing that I would do that would change my life. I'd committed, I'd said to Joanne, I'm going to do this, I've been to this seminar, like you, I've paid me money, and I'm taking this one thing from it. This is it. We're getting on in the year now, it's July, and I've made this New Year's resolution. Maybe it would be in New Year's resolution I wouldn't keep. You know, it's July, I lost a little bit of weight, but the weight wasn't under control. I was thinking I did say by September, if I didn't get under control, that you know, this is what was going to happen. So I was looking on the internet and I found various different things, crazy diets, something called the elimination diet, which just sounded absolutely insane. I stumbled, literally, upon the Biggest Loser application form. And it was like, boom, this is it. I'd watched Biggest Loser, you know, I didn't have to go, what's the Biggest Loser? I knew exactly what the Biggest Loser was. The bloke I used to work with was actually on the previous year of mine. So and I watched it. I watched the American ones, and these blokes on the American ones and the women on the American ones, they were like my idols. Danny Carhill, there's no other bloke. If you're looking on the internet, incredible man. He's the biggest loser ever. The Americans are incredible. They do, you know, they do awesome work. They're there for much longer. Their program is about 40 something weeks. Ours is 24. So I thought, that's it. Awesome. Shout, Joanne! They're looking for someone, they're looking for contestants for the Biggest Loser. She came running through. She went, I sat down on the computer. She went, awesome, you're going to win. And I said, I know. And that was weird. I find it hard to describe it. Even now, I've talked about it a few times, but I find it really hard to describe that moment because it was just like, I know. This was it. I was looking at the answer. This was what I wanted all my life. Because I knew that, like everybody, I wasn't just being narcissistic. I know everyone's the same. They're destined for something better, a life less ordinary. Certainly the people here, you know, there's plenty of people who aren't destined for a life less ordinary, but I think everyone here is the same sort of mind as me. You're destined for a life less ordinary, and I knew this was it. This was my gateway to my life less ordinary. This was my gateway to losing weight, and then what I was going to do for after that, I bring this here to speak to you in front of you today. So I went through the process of filling the form out, much like what Dax was talking about before. You have these sort of inner battles. I think this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to win. And I thought, who am I going to go on with? And I thought, Amy, straight away. And assuming, did everyone watch the programme, by the way? You know, he's probably on with this book. And I went to see Amy. I knew Amy was unhappy with her weight, although she was like me, she would never talk about it, and she would say, oh, it's fine, I'll lose weight later. When really inside, she was probably absolute torture. No, it says, I've got an opportunity for you that's going to change your life. Sounds like I was about to like get a sign for Clean Easy or something, but I said, I've got an opportunity that's going to change your life. Do you know Biggest Loser? She went, oh yeah, I've seen it, yeah. I've since learned that the reason why she reacted like that was because she thought I was going to give her a house, which I'm like, I don't know where you got that idea from, but I said, all right, this is what it is, and I explained properly what it was. She'd sort of seen it, sort of had an idea what it was, but and I explained what it was. I said, we'll be away for 8 weeks, and you know, it's hard training, and then you come home and you lose weight at home, and then there's a big grand final. Oh, yeah, that sounds quite good. excellent, yeah. Davina calls her, no, all right, oh, that's just, you know. And she said, but, so I'm away for 8 weeks. I said, yeah. And she said, but what about the baby? Christopher, our little boy. And I said, well, he'll be alright with his dad, and Joanne will help out, and your Auntie Diane, my sister-in-law, your mum, your dad, and, you know, just got a really good support network. And, oh, right. I'll be away from 8 weeks. You think the last thing? Oh yeah. Probably every weekend. Chris will probably be able to pop down. I knew, well, I was probably 98% sure there would be no visit. I said, but if they don't let you do that, I bet you can phone home. If they just pretend you can't. Again, I knew 98% sure that I was lying to her, but I thought this is the only thing I can do. And I sort of like had to lie to Angara in a bit of a headlock to get her to do it, because I knew how much of a difference it would make in her life. And this, if you've sort of seen Amy, and if you knew her now, from there, I travelled down here yesterday with Martin, and I showed him a photo. Every time I see photos of Amy the way she used to be, I still get a little bit emotional, because I knew where she was in her life then, and I know where she is now, and it's like fantastic. It's just amazing to see how much has changed, and seeing it on a daily basis as I did over that journey was like incredible to see. Obviously, you don't see yourself changing, like the way you feel and the way you look so much, but watching her was just incredible. So, and I knew that I had to get her on this for selfish reasons as well. Well, I'll be honest, mainly selfish reasons, because I had to have a partner. I couldn't apply by myself. So we applied for the show. Like I said before, well, I had like lots of internal doubt. Is this really what you want to do? It's going to be painful. Like Richard Canada, he's a pretty mean dude. God, you really want that? I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I always had to have this internal conversation. But like that's what talking about before, directions. I could have just closed it on Facebook. That was back in the days when I had about 35 friends on Facebook. I don't know where they've all come from these days, but it's about 800. And I just kept going and filling out the application form and kept on going. And it took us a little while, because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be dead right. I didn't want it to be a lie. Like that's what I told them before, about being authentic and telling the truth. And that is what was really important to me, because I thought, if I get on, I've got to do it in my own merit as me. I've got to tell my story and tell. I don't like, because you know yourself, if you ever filled an application form for a job or a TV show, if you ever apply for one or anything, you're often thinking, what is the person who's going to be reading this want to read? And the fact is, I just spoke from the heart and told them how I felt. And if that was good enough or wasn't good enough, then case or whatever it'll be, and I would have found some other way of losing weight after. I sort of still feel now, I'm 50-50 as to whether after the Tony Robbins thing, if I hadn't gone on Biggest Loser, as to whether or not I would have then went on and lost weight anyway. I can't actually honestly answer that question with a yes or a no, so I'll have to say I'm 50-50. So I answered this absolutely authentically, and Amy gave us her answers, which were, you know, quite short, so I had to like flower them up a little bit and put some longer words in there. I probably didn't even know what they meant, but I just, you know, I sort of like just made Amy's answers that little bit longer, but still, basically her answer was this, but it just sounded better than yes, as some of her answers were. So I filled out the application form, sent it off, and 2 hours later there was a phone call from a girl called Amy, funnily enough. She said, hi, it's Amy from Shine TV. Hi, she went, Biggest Loser? I went, alright, yeah. Well, I had a telephone interview, and it was a good job that I answered the questions truthfully from the heart, because I didn't have the application form in front of us, and she asked us all the questions again. And that wasn't the first time it happened. Every single time in this long, drawn-out audition process, I asked the same questions. It might ask them slightly different, because I've since learned they're trying to catch you out. They're trying to catch the bullshitters out. They don't want them. They want people who are going to speak from the heart and be truthful, because when they're on TV, that's what they want. Because you people watching the programme can watch them say, she's full of it, or he's full of it. Because you can just feel it from people. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who didn't use the word authentic, but we're looking for people who went lying. So anyway, Amy invited her, after a conversation with me, she rang Amy, and we were invited to Glasgow for an audition 2 days later. All this took place 1 year ago. The Tony Robbins event was a year ago on Monday. The application process, form process, took us a little while to find it. Then the audition took place the day before my birthday last year. My birthday is the 23rd of July, so it was the 22nd of July we went to Glasgow. And that was tough. I had to stand like that. Nobody's seen us like that apart from Joanne. ever. I had to stand like that in front of these, you know, young ladies with cameras and talk about how I felt about my body.